really should have done something with my hair before this. Yikes. Hi, everybody. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Lots of comments already. Hello. Hi, 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 hi. Hi, everybody. Welcome. For those of you who are new here, hi, my name is Patricia, though most people call me Patches, and I'm the host and founder of the Morbidly Curious Book Club. I am so glad you're here. Thank you for joining us on your Sunday. What day is it? I don't know. I don't know what year it is. I don't know what day it is. Hi, everybody. So this little book club, for those of you who don't know, began back in 2021. We are about to officially turn 4 this October, which is crazy. Super exciting. And over time, we've grown to nearly 17,000 members worldwide. We're super close to hitting 17,000, which is crazy. And now we're moving into this, or we moved into this live show format. Earlier this year, we started off on Zoom, but a lot of people. All right. So now we're moving back into we're going into the live shows. So that way everybody could share their thoughts in the chat. So that's what it's for. It looks like most people are joining from YouTube, but we are also live on Instagram and Facebook. If you have any questions along the way, or if you have any comments, please feel free to put those in there. We appreciate your participation. Let us know where you are watching from, if you guys want to tell us where you're watching from in the chat. While you do that, I've got some housekeeping. First and foremost, of course, follow us on socials. We've got our Instagram here. For those of you who are watching on Instagram, this is redundant, but please follow us on Instagram. I did post our 2026 lineup because I'm too excited for it. It's like pumpkin spice, you know, it just comes earlier and earlier every year. It's just, you never know when it's going to drop. So 2026 has been released. Please go check that out. Cannot wait to read those books with you guys. Also, check out the podcast. Each month, I chat with the authors from our picks, and new episodes drop on the last Friday of the month, so you can listen to them before the live. So I did speak with the author that we're discussing tonight, Alua Arthur. I did speak with her for the podcast, so that is available wherever you get your podcasts. It was a wonderful conversation. She's an incredible person. I love listening to her talk. I had a very short hour with her, but I could have made it 3 easily. Bonus episodes are also coming soon. So the podcast started in from Boone, North Carolina. Hi, Boone. I'm in Statesville. The podcast started in 2024, but ever since then, I've been doing some bonus episodes because we only can pick 12 books a year, of course. There's so many nonfiction, morbidly curious books out there. So I do some bonus episodes, and I do some archive episodes, which just means books that we read prior to 2024. I'm giving you guys a little bit of a sneak peek as to what's to come for the rest of the year, and this is just some people that I want to give a shout out to. I did speak with Hallie Rubenhold, who wrote these incredible books, The Five and Story of a Murder. Coming up in later October, I'm talking with Ashley Cullens about her new book that just came out, Your Favorite Scary Movie. I did speak with Amanda Montell about her book Cultish, which we read back in 2023, maybe even 2022. It's been a while. A staple in the Morbidly Curious Book Club space. And on Tuesday, I am speaking with the one and only Mary Roach, and I'm super nervous, but excited nonetheless. So very excited for that. So be on the lookout for that. I don't know when Hallie Rubenhold and Amanda Montell's episodes are coming out, but I can tell you Mary Roach will be around mid-September, and then I'm going to release the Your Favorite Scary Movie bonus episode on December 20th because that's when the first Scream movie released in theaters. So you have that to look forward to. Love Amanda Montell. She's great. So exciting things are coming along with the rest of the authors. So I've already spoken with Catherine Corcoran for our September book. I've got Colin Dickey scheduled. I've got Rose George scheduled. And I've got the 2 authors who wrote The Unclaimed scheduled as well. And I actually already have our January author scheduled. So I'm on top of it. Applauses all around because I'm actually on top of it. Quick plug, Charlotte friends, if you are in the general Charlotte area, I will be at Belmont Bookshop next Sunday, September 7th, to talk to Karina Barrett Lane about her book. I think it comes out Tuesday, or maybe it's already out. I'm not entirely sure. It's called out. Secrets of the Killing State. Oh, it is out? Yeah, I think it is out because somebody sent me a picture of it. Secrets of the Killing State, The Untold Story of Lethal Injection. I will be having a conversation with her at the bookstore. So if you are in the area, please RSVP. Thank you, lady. Please RSVP. I would love to see you guys there, and I'm incredibly excited to have a conversation with her as well. That should be a good discussion. Also, shout out, of course, to our Patreon members. Thank you so much for your support. It means the world. Earlier today at 5 o'clock, we had our fiction edition book club. And then, of course, after this at 9, we have our spicy edition book club. So for all of you out there who need another book club in your life, I know you don't, but if you want another book club in your life, another 2 book clubs in your life, hop on over to the Patreon. It's a good time over there. We've got exclusive stuff. Let me put it in the comments. There we go. Got exclusive stuff over there, some vlogs, and of course those 2 book clubs where we chat over on Zoom. Earlier tonight, we discussed our fiction pick, which was, I need some more desk space. Jesus. Severance by Ling Ma, which was a fantastic discussion. So, highly recommend that. An error occurred. Sorry, Facebook. It's not. Oh, that did work on Facebook. It's saying it won't let me post that comment, but it looks like it did. Anyway, thank you, patrons, for your support. I really appreciate it. And I just put the link there if you guys would like to join. Okay. Perfect. Enough from me. I'm going to shut up now and let my wonderful hosts introduce themselves. You want to go in order, starting with Kelsey.
Just the basics. My name is Kelsey. I was thinking in my head how to phrase it. It's like I am great mortality years old in the book club. I think that was the first book I came in on. So whenever we read that, that's how long I've been lurking around.
And you stuck around after the Great Mortality. I'm just kidding.
I'm in the anti-Great Mortality Slander Club with Christina. Thank you very much. So,
good.
I loved that book. I'm a mental health therapist by day and just lately a hot mess by night. So that's about all I've had going on in the last little bit here.
I love it. Thank you so much for being here. Cam?
I'm Cam. I run the Morbidly Curious Triangle chapter in the R2P area of North Carolina. So if you are in the area, please join. I'm an admin by day and I am a reader by night, I guess. A morbidly curious reader by night.
There you go. Yes. Yeah. As are we. Cam?
Can I mute myself? Sorry. I'm Kimberly, and I am part of the Sacramento, California chapter. I am a former mortician in a previous life and also currently a medical researcher now in my present.
Hell yeah. Everybody has such cool jobs. Steph?
Hi, I'm Steph. I am part of the Toronto chapter up in Canada. By day, I'm a few things. I'm an academic who researches grief and end of life, and I am also a hospice social worker. So this was a fantastic read for me. And by night, I am kind of mostly the same, to be honest.
Constantly working. We're all workaholics here.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. I always appreciate it. You guys know that, but I always have to say it. I feel like I have to have good posture during this call, and I don't like that. So I'm moving you. All right. Let's get into our book. So in August, we read Briefly Perfectly Human, Making an Authentic Life by Getting Real About the End by Alua Arthur. This was such an interesting book. I run also some of the chapters in the greater Charlotte area, and it's been 50-50. So I'm super curious to hear what you guys have to say about it. Please tell us in the comments your overall thoughts, your ratings. Awesome. Yes, 100%. Steph, this is totally your wheelhouse. Mike, thank you so much for and Tam. Hey, Tam. I am curious to hear what you guys have to say. So let us know in the comments here what you guys would give it rating wise. I know we do sometimes out of 5. Some people just do like thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs, have I like meh. Out of 10, yeah, specify if it's like a 5 out of 5, tell us, and then 5 out of 10, tell us, because those are very different ratings. The AMs, yes. I personally gave this a 4. I found this incredibly interesting. I love Alua Arthur as a person. I've been following her for years on social media. I just think she's so ethereal. I think everything she says is just incredible. I'm also jealous that she can film a lot of her reels in one take. If anybody's made content, if you know, you know, that's not easy. So I'm seeing a lot of like mixed reviews here as well. So let's get into it. Tell me what you guys thought, what you rated it, if you rate it, and like what you think of like a writing style. Like, let's dive into it. Kelsey, take us away. What did you rate it? What did you think?
I think probably it's hovering around a 4 for me. I found that I enjoyed her writing and I enjoyed her experiences a lot. Like those parts really like resonated in a lot of ways. I think value-wise and probably just experience-wise is why we differ. I feel like I don't agree with 100% of her takes on things. And then also, I wish it had been marketed as a little more like a mix of like her experience and also like autobiographical. 'Cause I think I was expecting more on the death end of things and like what functionally her job looks like, as opposed to kind of the things that inform how she does her practice, which wasn't bad, but also was not really what I was expecting. So I was kind of in the middle, like, this wasn't what I was thinking it was going to be, but
Yeah. And
I
that's
do think a
actually
lot of her
comment.
experiences were pretty valuable. And I'm like, okay, I see
Totally.
where you're coming from.
I definitely respected it for sure. And that's actually a comment, Chelsea, that I got at a couple other meetings where people were like, there was a couple of people at one of my chapters that were like, this is the first book that I read with you guys. And I was expecting it to be a little bit more morbid for the Morbidly Curious Book Club. And I was like, please come back. Yeah, it wasn't that morbid, but I think at times it did get deep into the trenches of whatever the spectrum of morbidity is. So, but yeah, that's about so funny. It's just been across the board 50-50. But I agree with you, Kelsey. I do think possibly mismarketed, not really sure if that is technically a thing, and when it comes to stuff like this, but I think I don't know, like, is there something on the cover that screams that this is not super, or this is more autobiographical forward, or I don't know, is it one of those things where since I work in marketing, I overanalyze? But I digress. Let's continue. Cam?
I gave it a 3 out of 5. Like Kelsey, there were definitely some values and assertions she had that I was like, no.
No.
And I think she's incredibly quotable. I think she has a wonderful way of putting things into words. I definitely was thinking it would be something more like The Day I Die,
Yes, same.
which was a past read about assisted death that I really, really liked. I too am not so much like a memoir autobiographical person. I really struggle sometimes to kind of take myself out of it. Just remembering that, like, we might not always be the most reliable narrators of our stories and everything that's happening in our experiences. So I definitely think that I expected more about being a death doula, about actually working with the clients. I felt like sometimes the death doula part was just stuck in the last few paragraphs of the chapter. And we talked about like Michael Jackson or Burning Man or a trip or a boyfriend or something for a majority of the chapter. And I was like, but where's the death doula part? And it was just kind of, it felt like an afterthought sometimes. So yeah, I think I was really excited about this book, and I think I was just a little disappointed by the time I finished.
I get that. That's a good point, Shannon, too. I didn't even really think about that. She probably made it more autobiographical to probably protect the privacy of her clients and families. That's a good point. I didn't think about that. Because I'm so nosy. I'm like, nope, tell me everything. We talked about that on the podcast, too. She said I'd make a great death doula because I'm so nosy. And I'm like, I don't know if that's like the criteria that's needed, because I think I would just be disturbing people. Yeah, totally. Kim? I don't know why I can't say your name's right. I always like add a weird emphasis to it. Sorry, Kim.
That's okay. I'm gonna go. So 3 stars on the book for me. I would give her as a person like 4, or 4.5 stars for her. She sounds really fascinating, but when I was going into school to become a mortician, the death doula kind of thing didn't really exist. This was long time ago.
Oh,
and talking to her and having conversations with Steph, it's exactly, I wish I had gotten into more of that kind of field. And I wish she had talked more about, the training, like someone mentioned in the comments, and going a little bit more into I hate to say, like the nitty gritty of it all, because there's a lot more to unpack. So I think as a person, it's really cool. That's great. Like her biography, but I wanted to know more. There was a lot more layers to the death doula that I really wish she could have touched on, and I think she could have in some aspects, but it's opened up a whole thing for me for sure to got real curious about that work.
Love it. Steph?
Gave this book a solid 4 out of 5. I did really enjoy it. I found myself relating to it a lot in the way that I approach my work is similar to how Alua approaches her work. I think also I did listen to the audiobook and I did like immersive reading. So I had the book and then I listened at the same time, which made the narration style stand out even more as like a chat with a friend kind of a thing. I agree with Kelsey and Cam. There was a lot of takes where I was like, ooh, girl, no, no. Especially as someone who, this is the interesting thing where being a death doula and the work that I do as a registered social worker diverge a lot because I have a college that's behind me where I'm registered that I'm responsible to, I guess. So like there's a certain way that I'm supposed to act and conduct myself at work in my job with all of my clients, and I have a responsibility to them, and that's for their protection, not mine. That there's a little bit more freedom with being a death doula because you're not registered, that you don't have to act in all of those ways. There's less red tape. But there was some ways that I was like, I don't know that I would do that. And I think it's very interesting what Justine said about there being, I felt there was kind of a lack of like, what is a death doula? But I wasn't surprised by that because being a hospice social worker for coming up on 6 years now, I've interacted with several death doulas, and a lot of them struggle to define what it is they do because they do work so much in the margins where a lot of other professionals don't go, because the best way I've ever heard what a death doula does described is we fill in the spaces where the professionals aren't. So they fill in the spaces where the hospice nurses aren't, where the hospice social workers can't go or don't have time to go because of the way the system's built. Which then makes it very hard to define what it is that they do all of the time. A lot of what they do is things I really genuinely wish I had time to do with my patients every day.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Would you take a class, do you think? Would you want to, I mean, you say you don't have time. That's not the problem. The problem isn't education, but do you think you would try and dive deeper into that sect of things, or?
Maybe if I was sure that it would not be, if I was sure it'd be new, then yes. But even reading this book, I was like, yep, that's my job. That's my job. That's my job.
Yeah.
So the overlap is almost a circle. And so if I was sure that the things that were outside of the circle were very new and something that could add value to what I do, 100%. I do know there are death doulas that exist in at least Canada that are also social workers.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't even think about the country's part of things. I wonder how different does death doula work look in Canada compared to the States, if at all. Interesting. Is there anything that anything you guys learned specifically from the book that you didn't know beforehand? Was there anything in particular that stood out to you, Kelsey?
I don't think so. That's coming to the immediate of my head, but to vamp off Steph a little bit, I was surprised kind of the crossover that felt kind of like in mental health and death doulaing, because I remember reading some parts and I'm like, not in the context of death, but I was like, shit, I do this in my day job. Like,
Yeah.
So, and I think a lot of that, again, is just like validation, authenticity, and like showing up for people. So I would say that stood out to me, but I don't know that I learned anything particularly new, except, yeah, some more questions kind of about how kind of death dueling fits into systems. And it sounds like kind of in the holes of the existing systems. So,
Yeah. Cam, was there anything that you learned that you didn't know prior to?
No, like Kelsey, I don't think there was anything particularly new that I learned. But I definitely, it added a new emphasis on making premature decisions about how you would like to die and handle your death, and the importance of having those conversations with your family members and loved ones ahead of time.
Yeah.
I did take that emphasis away.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Kimberly, anything new?
kind of to piggyback on what Cam said, no, nothing new, but it definitely made me go through and be like, it's time to really go back through and sort out my affairs, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, get the will updated, beneficiaries, all that stuff. It's something people don't want to think about writing a will. And I think this kind of just reminded everyone, like, you know, it's time to have those conversations. So that's kind of my takeaway from it, but nothing new was learned.
Steph?
Yeah, kind of the same as everybody else. There wasn't really anything that was new to me. But again, like, if I could make it a requirement of being an adult that you have to have some of these things in place, like a healthcare proxy, like a will, like a advanced healthcare plan of the things you do and do not want done to your body if you are not conscious and can't make your own medical choices, I really truly would. Because I know nobody wants to think about it, but you really should think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody at my Charlotte meeting said that they didn't have a will. And it was like 3 people that were like, whoa, you need a will. Like, they didn't like jump on, like, you know, but 3 people started talking about it. One's like, what? You don't have a will? It always makes me think of, I don't know why. I've always been super, of course, curious about death, but honestly kind of scared of it. And I think books like this definitely help. And I wish I could exude the peacefulness and calmness of whatever Alua has towards death, and like the lack of anxiety and you know. But it always makes me think of there was an episode of Unsolved Mysteries, one of them recent, I want to say upgraded. What's the right word? The newer seasons, the remakes, where a woman was murdered, you know, way too young, and her ashes, unfortunately, because of, I guess, whatever will was set up last or something like that, her ashes went to her abusive piece of shit ex-husband, and he just kind of put her in a closet. And nobody can take them from him. Nobody can like have custody of these ashes. So make sure that you got the right people in your will. Make sure you've got all your stuff in order, because you never know. You never know. There's a lot of anecdotes, of course, to pull from this, and a lot of things that were super interesting. And I know we each had like a little something that we wanted to touch on, or at least talk about. Mine, of course, was the child-free stuff. I really appreciated her take on that, but we can get into that in a second. I know, Cam, you wanted to tell a story about the Claudia story. I know Kelsey had something else. Was there anything that you guys wanted to touch on that you took away from this that was just like really profound to you, aside from like what we've already kind of touched on? Was there anything in particular that stood out that you wanted to discuss? Unless we want to go ahead and go right into we can go to the Claudia story. We can go wherever.
I just want to start. I want to piggyback off of what you just said about being really anxious about death and wanting to bring in the peace that Alua brings into death work. I will say, as someone who works in death work and in end of life, I'm also terrified of dying. You don't have to be not afraid of it to be able to do this work. And so I want to put that out there, because I know a lot of people feel like that's a prerequisite and it stops them from wanting to get into this work. And it's definitely not true.
Yeah.
I find it very different when I'm looking at someone else in front of me who's going through it versus thinking about it for myself.
Yeah. That's not easy. I don't know. It freaks me out. I don't like not existing. I like life. I like what's happening. Got good shit going on. I got a book club to run, you know? Can't abandon ship now.
Shit I gotta do.
Shit I gotta do. It's am I fevered? It's giving Severance.
This is her routine.
Oh God. What did the chapter start off saying? Like, I woke up, I went to work. Oh, yikes.
I went to bed, I woke up, I went to work.
Cam, did you want to go ahead and hit the Claudia story?
I think the Claudia stuff will kind of tie back into the child-free stuff and probably some of Steph's topic too. So
yeah, I got cats to feed. Got lots of mouths to feed over here. Yeah, book clubs. Trust me. Oh my god, there's so many.
She's a mother.
She's a mother. Hey, David. Absolutely. Yeah, and I think, it's grief is such a strange thing. It's like you gain this friend that won't go away, and they like pop in every once in a while, and they drive you crazy sometimes, but sometimes their presence is peaceful and comforting, and then sometimes you're just like, go away, but like you can't get rid of them. It's so interesting. Yeah, then there was a couple other things I wanted to hit on, but while we're on the topic of child-free stuff, I wanted to hit on that while we were on the podcast together, because obviously right before all of us, I'm not a super regretful person, but I'm sure if by the time my end of life comes, there are going to be some things where it's like, I do wish I kind of went to that. It's probably going to be more so like I wish I actually went to like these places. I wish I traveled. Like it's not going to be like, oh, I regret doing this, I regret doing that. It's probably going to be I regret not doing this. If that makes sense. But it was so interesting to hear her talk about it on the podcast, as well as the people that regret becoming parents, which is kind of becoming more of a, well, it's always been a little bit of a taboo discussion, but there's a more open discussion about it with like some of these, Reddit pages and Facebook groups and stuff like that. But she says she hears all the time that people regret becoming parents, which is so fascinating to me. But what I also appreciated when we talked on the podcast, when I told her about like, I never wanted kids, I had a hysterectomy, et cetera, et cetera. She said, well, like, thank you for like making that choice and sticking with it and staying like true to yourself. And I'm like, that's never the response that I get when I tell people that I'm child free. Like it's always people that are like, who's going to take care of you and stuff like that, which we'll get into later. But, I just really appreciated that, and I appreciated that she kept it in, because again on the podcast too, she talked about how there was a little bit of pushback, like, are you sure you want to keep this in the book? And she said once people said, are you sure you want to keep this in the book, she knew she had to. So it was obviously very relatable, and I appreciated it. It's not everybody's gonna relate to that sort of topic, so it definitely was touching for me. Any thoughts on that? Because I know some of us here are child free by choice. My nose is itching.
Yeah, I know for me, I am. And I think that was the part of Claudia's story that was really kind of significant to me. The fact that, she had to have people, she had to call and hire people to look after her cats or to pick up her mail or those kinds of things while she was sick originally. And so then when she's working with Alua, and Alua's like, well, who can we call for, these kinds of things, this kind of support? And she didn't really have anyone. That to me was really significant, because I feel like that is the comment I get a lot when I tell people like, yeah, I'm 30, I don't want kids. I'm pretty firm in that decision. And the first thing they say is, well, who's going to take care of you when you get old, when you're dying? Who's going to take care of your affairs? Who's going to handle that kind of thing? And so I did appreciate having, even though I don't know if Claudia was specifically child-free by choice, but having that kind of perspective of a single person, a person who is alone. I mean, I'm unpartnered. And so I think the combination of being single and being child-free, a lot of times, one of the first things people bring up is your death or the end of your life, or, there's this kind of implicit expectation that having kids is an investment in your future. It's an investment in your end of life care. It's an investment in making sure that you have someone who can take care of you. And so I did appreciate that she was able to share that experience, because I think that those are the spaces where a death doula would be really helpful. I don't think that our society is the friendliest to single people, and it's not set up to be single. I think there are many different examples of this, but I think death and dying is one that people immediately kind of think about for some reason. And so I appreciated that she was able to put that part in. I think that is a gap that death doulas would be really helpful in, and just other, industries in general. I think that is a population that is thought about, but isn't really thought about until sometimes maybe it's too late.
I'm listening. I'm so sorry. I heard this really loud bang, and I was trying to figure out what it was.
Did someone fall?
I'm sorry. I thought it was something in the basement because the basement's right underneath me. I'm so sorry. I texted Chris. I said, "What was that noise?" And he said, "What noise?" And then 2 seconds later, it said, "Oh, me smacking the back." Can't even get through it. He said, "Oh, me smacking the back of my head on the sink after getting up from the toilet."
Oh, poor Chris.
Crushing
I don't
it.
even know what noise he made, but it was his head.
Tell
I'm
him we
so
could
sorry.
hear that on
Literally.
YouTube.
It literally reverberated like through the
no.
house. Oh my god, I'm sorry, I'm crying. I have a
It
friend.
was so loud. Oh my
I'm
god.
so loud. And literally, like, the basement door is like right here, and it sounded like the basement door shut. Okay. Damn it, I should not have asked. Okay.
What a wild day Chris has had.
Honestly.
He doesn't know like the distance of like where his head is and like objects, like the amount of times he hits his head on stuff. Okay. What was I just saying? It was so loud.
We all heard it. That's so loud. Oh my god.
I have a friend, Kimberly, who makes child-free content on YouTube. She's great. And child-free Kimberly. And she made a comment one time where her response nowadays for when people ask, who's going to take care of you when you're older, her response is always, "I don't know, but I hope it's a doctor that looks like Channing Tatum." And that's my go-to from here on out. But I definitely want to talk on that too a little bit, because there is definitely a stigma, and I did see somebody else's comment about being child-free by choice in the South. It's a struggle out here. Yes, in the South, Heather, totally. Because hell, I mean, my friend got married not even a year ago. It'll be a year in November. And she gets like public comments on Facebook from people that are like, "So,
Baby?
where are the babies?" And she's like, right. Give me a break. But it's interesting that, I mean, for all that you could take to your deathbed, that's like one of the top ones that she hears from people. So that to me is interesting. Was there any other comments about that? Sorry, I was laughing so hard. Any other comments about that from Kelsey, Steph, Kimberly, anybody?
No, only that I wonder if it's so much from like, I don't know, and I don't want to say like the societal expectation, but like this idea that like children are, and that can be a segue into other things, because she talked about legacies as well. But I think as a society, we put a lot of emphasis on like, oh, well, like your children are your legacy, or like this is the next thing, like this is what you're leaving to the world. And then that comes with certain expectations. And I think that's also been a standard that's been pushed so long, but now they're moving more towards like the millennial Gen Z, like more people like willing and like wanting and like seeing that like I'm not gonna like have kids and like let them take off into this hell, like this hellscape we're all presently living in.
Yep.
That I think that pushback's getting a lot worse, because I do think there's a pressure. And I think, oh God, I'm not gonna remember the name of the anecdote in the book, but the gal who was like a mid-level marketing executive, and she's like, I had kids because I thought I had to, like.
Yeah, Steph, did you want to chime?
It's so interesting because so this is, I think this was where I wrote my like whole
Your novel.
My whole novel. I've never written so much in a book in my life. But there's this common thing, and she did it a lot in this book, and every single time it happened, I was like, no, stop. Just like, it's your hand.
Water bottle spray.
Yeah,
Stop.
literally. And it's because I do it to everybody at work too, and it drives them nuts. They're like, can you just stop pushing your beliefs on us? And I'm like, no.
Yeah, Steph, tell all.
And it's the use of the word loved one. I hate it. We shouldn't use it, because somebody said it in the comments. It doesn't encapsulate all relationships. And then especially when you are someone who is child free by choice, or something like that. Like I see these people come in to my work. I actually just had someone in who was a patient who had family who did eventually show up, but they weren't her healthcare proxies or anything. But this woman had the biggest, kindest, most supportive group of friends.
Mm-hmm.
They showed up. They were there. They made a schedule. They were like clockwork. Someone was always with her, and she was surrounded by people who loved her, but they weren't necessarily her blood family,
Loved
right?
ones.
Mm-hmm.
So her loved ones. And it's
Mhm.
interesting because so many of my coworkers so often will see, you know, we put in brackets when we have a whiteboard inside of our, we call it a team room, but it's basically the nursing station, because that's where all of our like computers are to do our charting and everything. And that's where all the health info is. We have a whiteboard and it has the list of rooms and everybody's names, who's in it and who's their doctor and who's their healthcare proxy. And we put in brackets beside their healthcare proxy's name, the relationship to the patient.
Mhm.
And there's always a vague judgment that a lot of people don't realize they're making. It's inherent, and it's very unconscious. When they see friend, they automatically assume that that person isn't going to do as good of a job or know as much about this person that they're taking care of or making decisions for as spouse or child or parent. And it's part of it is the societal belief that we have in North America of what a good death looks like, which is that, you know, you're in a bed, you're surrounded by all of your blood family. Every slight that has ever happened is automatically forgiven. Everybody's so loving and kind and happy, and everything is painless and beautiful. And like, that's just not, that's not it, like most of the time. And when that is it, a lot of the times those people have a lot of privilege in their life. And so it's very interesting to me to see, like, as someone who's also like, I too am unpartnered, I'm child-free by choice. I don't want any kids ever. I know who I want at my bedside. I am blessed that I do have a very good relationship with my parents. They are currently my healthcare proxies. Well, my mom is. My dad, as long as my dad agrees with my mom, he can make decisions. I say that because my dad is not a healthcare worker and my mom is. So I want her making choices because she knows what she's talking about. In the way that I know what I'm talking about. So I'm like, she can make choices. My dad can just say yes, dear, and agree with her.
Should be doing that anyway, but that's just me.
The way it works anyways, so it's fine. But like, I have my like core group of my really good friends who, if I ask them, I know that they would step up, they'd be there, and they would say yes. And I have zero doubts on that one. So it's like, it's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah. That's an interesting take, though. I mean, is there like a correlation, I guess is the better word, to an insinuation that loved one immediately means family member type thing?
There is.
Yeah.
There is.
That way. Yeah, absolutely found family. Love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think loved one really kind of colloquially, at least, only extends to like to your blood relatives and like your spouse, whoever you marry. That's it.
But it's interesting when you look at the laws that are written about who makes your decisions if you don't have this paperwork done. The hierarchy that is laid out in most places, first is a spouse, then is a parent, then is a sibling, then is a cousin. It goes by blood. And the interesting part about those decision-making hierarchies too is if you have more than one of any of those categories, like let's say you have 2 siblings or more, everybody has equal decision-making. So everybody has to agree.
Yeah.
So if you don't all talk to each other and you don't all agree with each other, or you only talk to one of your 4 siblings, that gets messy really fast.
Mhm.
Yeah. I definitely want to put a pin in a couple of things we talked about, but I did want to get to Kim. Did you have anything you wanted to add to it?
I think it's interesting because, like, as I was listening, I realized that no family of mine is technically in my will when it comes to my property or even my children. It's like, as someone mentioned, the found family. It's going to be my friends, if you will, you know, and those are like, I have a core group, and when we think about it, it's like those are the people, you know, they have copies of the will, you know, that I need them for the directives, because like Steph just mentioned, that hierarchy. I have friends, and I mean, even myself had very complex relationships with my parents and siblings, and I don't want them making decisions for me in any capacity. So it was like all the people that I knew had to make those big, scary decisions. I'm like, here's the will, here's the contact info of all my stuff. So if something were to happen, I'm covered at least. But I wouldn't want to be in a spot where, and having to feel the pressure of taking care of somebody I wasn't close to either. So hopefully it never comes down to that, and I don't want to leave that expectation on my kids that they have to, because I'm their parent. I'm setting up my end of life to like not have that pressure on them. It's not their burden, if you will, to have to worry about it.
I just wanted to point out this is an amazing journal title.
Perfect title.
Yes.
It's a perfect title. That's so interesting. And again, a couple people were saying, like, I never really thought about it, that to have a good death is such a privilege. For us to even consider the thought of, like, how I want my death to go. Like, there is so much privilege wrapped up in that, especially with everything going on in the world all the time, but, like, especially now, right? And that, to me, is probably the one thing that, it's not to say, like, I learned that reading this, but it's definitely something I've come to establish as something that I'm much more considerate of. What did you guys think of her perspective of that? Did that also kind of like open your eyes as far as like the ability to plan a death is, and having this good death? Because we hear that thrown around a lot, like the good death. So what was it like kind of going through that part of the book? Was that super eye-opening? Was that something you'd already thought about? Anything on that, Kelsey?
I think I've thought about the good death more since, again, the day I die, just because that was the first time I was like, oh, because my fucking privileged white ass is just like in my sleep, like, take me out. That is all we need. I don't want to see it coming.
Right. Privilege.
But yeah, now it's more thinking, it's like, oh yeah, shit, like, you don't get to choose. So,
yeah.
I mean, I would like it to be like relatively painless. I'm sure if I sat down and thought about it, I'd have a laundry list of things like that I would hope for, but
kind of like she did.
I'm also, I'm also a baby cynic. I'm not a baby. I'm a full-blown cynic, where I recognize that, like, I have very little control or power or say in anything in the world, so I'm just gonna have to roll with the punches when it comes, because
I always admire that about you. What's that like?
I mean, my sister got all of the Catholic anxiety. I got the cynicism, so it worked out really well for me.
I always admire that about you. I think especially during, was it you that was always during weather season where we would look at like,
oh yeah, everyone's sending me like tornado shit. I'm like, oh, is there bad weather? I'm like, okay.
We're like sending like, hey, Kelsey, babe, there's a tornado heading for your house, and she's like, is it raining? What?
Weird.
What?
Weird. What's happening? I just went golf. I just stepped outside to go play golf or something.
Yeah, I'm taking a walk. It's fine.
Just taking a walk.
Take a lap. Pull up around the block.
Cam, what are your thoughts about that part?
Like Kelsey, I feel like I keep saying that a lot tonight. Like Kelsey.
And I'm glad we're all agreeing. Now that's a good thing.
But I think I've thought about it a lot since reading The Day I Die and a couple of our other books as well. I turned 30 this year in April, and my mom was like, happy birthday, I love you so much, this is a great milestone, we need to think about a will. And was just like really kind of like on me. And I was like, I got it. It's fine. And luckily my bank was having some kind of promotion. I was able to do one for free. But even having kind of a loose plan, it was still so hard to put things into on paper, because I felt like there were specific situations that specific people would be able to handle better or do things better, or I wanted to be able to put on a lot of caveats for my family, and a lot of little things of like, listen, I don't care what you do with X, Y, and Z. You have to, this is the one thing you have to follow my instructions on. And I don't, being single and unpartnered, I think a lot of it will fall to my family. I think I entrusted, if my mom is still around, she'll be the person. If hopefully my brother is still around, then I'm trusting him with that. Because I think there is so much, I don't know who's going to be in my life when I go. And I think that is also part of the uncertainty of being single and unmarried, is I don't have a person that is dedicated, that has made a vow and has signed a marriage license and has said, like, I'm going to be here with you. So I think the most consistent, I went with who would be most consistent, and he will still be blood related to me now, like he is, whenever. But I think the part about having a good death that really stuck out to me in this book was the thought about the legacy that you leave. And I think there were a lot of assertions that she made about people's legacies, and the fact that this idea of compassion and things like that definitely kind of had me feeling kinds of ways. Like, professionally I could understand it, but I think as a person, and like as a Black person, there were some things that I was like, I don't know, friend. I don't know. I think there are some realities that, like, death does not absolve you of. And I think that is part of a good death, that people just kind of implicitly assume that part of a good death is that everybody mourns you when you're gone. Everyone is sad about it, and everyone kind of wishes you well. And no one speaks ill of you. That might not always be the case for everyone. And I think her kind of assertion that, like, it's deserved for everyone was part of it, that I was kind of like, I don't know, girl. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting perspective I wanted to hear about, so thank you for that. Yeah. And this is great, Sue. Appreciate that. Absolutely. And that's something that I needed to go into this book more so thinking about. Like, this isn't going to be kind of a dreary, dry book about process. It's mostly about life, making an authentic life by getting real about the end, So, Kim, any thoughts on that?
I think I really focused on planning for just what to do with my body when I'm gone. Because
big thing.
It is. And because I'm like, of course I have a vision of how I would love to die, but we are all, there's all circumstantial, right? I commute every day. I, walk a lot. I hike a lot. I mean, there's other circumstances that could not give me the death that I would like.
I saw Tam's comment.
Yeah, canon.
Oh no,
pro canon.
Yes, the canon, exactly. Compost me, stick me in the cannon. But like, I think my worry is when I die, I'm like, I'm leaving all the affairs not completely wrapped up. So they're like, of course she didn't think of this thing, or, like, oh God, now we have to deal with her, this and that, and like, what about all the cats, or, whatever, it's just like, that's what I worry about, is that the talking about how I left those burdens. But I mean, I can't always think of everything, but I'm doing my best. That's how I'm like, that's my legacy, is not leaving people a bunch of crap to do when I die. Is what I'm hoping.
Literally, if it's cats, it's a bunch of crap. So many people are pro canon.
Pro Canon. Okay. Canon is in. We got to make a new shirt for the Canon.
I know. I said that last time. I gotta do that. I mean, it's true. The cats. I mean, cats mourn.
Exactly.
It's important.
They do. You know, like you, I have a ton of them. So what? You know,
all animals mourn in some way or another.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that your legacy, Kim, is not leaving things undone. That's one of the things that I actually bring up to almost every single client that I've ever had. Every resident who comes in, I forewarn them and their family that there is a massive administrative burden to dying.
Yes.
I'm like, please, if you haven't done it yet, get a joint account holder on your phone account, on your utilities, on your mortgage, on your everything. Because otherwise you have to now go to all these services with these poor customer service agents who are probably like a college student and talk to them and be like, this person died and they don't know what to do with that. And then you have to show the death certificate. And it's just this traumatizing process that's almost like flogging yourself, really.
It is.
Because you're like, here's the death certificate, this person died. And then you got to go to the next person to do it all again. And then you got to do it all again. And luckily, one of the funeral homes we work with all the time made a checklist, 87 things to do before you die.
Yes.
And I give it to like every family because I'm like, please just here, have this. I will give it to all of you as well. Because yeah, it's one of those things. But I mean, the other thing that I think is really interesting in here about the good death, quote unquote, and it's interesting because on the one hand, she was doing a lot of hitting all of the points. And then on the other hand, she was like, but these are my people. And I was like, yeah, maybe. But, and it's honestly, I highlighted and I wrote a bunch in the margins on page 79. Every person in the room seemed like a variation on these two. Older, overwhelmingly white, silver-haired, lots of scarves and tie-dye. And I was like, well, damn, if this isn't the biggest common issue in death work ever. Because that's what, like, a lot of people who work in death work, who are doulas, who are hospice nurses, who are hospice social workers, like, overwhelmingly, it is a very white place to be and to exist. And the thing is when she's talking about legacy, if you don't have those people who come from those different experiences, who have experiences like you were sharing, Kim, about like some of your friends about how they're honored in their death or not honored based on who can and will come out of the woodwork. Believe me, if you have estranged family members, they're coming when you're dying. They're going to show up and they're going to feel like they have a right to be there.
Yeah.
You got to plan for it. You really do. But if everybody who does this work looks the same and is the same and has a very similar experience, the other thing, they're also like overwhelmingly women do this work, is another thing that has to be stated. Then nobody's thinking of the things. I think about Ken a lot still and his nails. Like, but this is the thing, is because it's so much more than just nails. Like, yes, she like jokingly says, I'll go to war over nails. Like, for sure, me too, girl. But like, also, when the person lying in that bed is a trans person, like, I will fight you if you want to dead name that person on their tombstone, on their death certificate. Like, I will. Because some of it's unavoidable. If you never legally changed your name, your death certificate does have to bear your legal name because it stops your social security number from functioning, identity theft and such. But you can put any name on a headstone.
Oh, I've seen some crazy shit out there.
And same with like how you are dressed for your funeral, if you're viewed, like all of those things. If someone doesn't have that lived experience, they won't know to think of it when they're dying or when someone else is dying. So we need death workers, we need death doulas, and we need people in traditional death work fields that are also diverse and from different experiences and walks of life to bring up these issues, to bring up and question some of these things and say, how do you want this to look? Because if they never thought to ask, you might not know to tell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can only imagine some of these super religious funerals. It's definitely like, it's just like all we're asking is for an iota of respect, and yet that is the hardest thing for some people to do. I just can't. I will fight for some blue nail polish for sure.
Same.
It's just
I
so
will say I
upsetting.
think it increased my, and this is tangentially not quite related, but I'll say it increased my, I think, empathy and perspective on like the family or like those like who take care of us after death. Because like in my, again, dumbass brain, I was like, oh, like I'll be dead. It doesn't matter. Not my problem. And then in reading some of these stories, I'm like, oh, I should probably not be the worst kind of person to whoever has the misfortune of like dealing with my affairs post my death. So, and I think I had that perspective for a long time because I'm presently childless, and like at the time I was single. So I'm like, like
Right.
they'll figure it out. And now I'm like, oh crap, I got other people I probably should not be fully burdening with. Yeah, like Steph said, the 87 items of
Yeah, that's a lot.
wrapping my affairs up.
Yeah.
And that's like pre-social media and technology too, guys. So like give your passwords to somebody.
It's true. See,
I'll
I
give
need
you my
that list 'cause now
password.
I'm missing stuff.
I'll give you my password to everything except my Kindle.
It's too spicy.
I hear that.
That's why.
I think it's still a trend or a thing. We all just need those binders. The like if I get murdered or kidnapped binders.
Mhm.
That'll just be
Yeah.
the kidnapped, murdered, post-life binder.
Yeah.
All of our information.
Dead in general.
Mhm.
You get everything except my Kindle. My Kindle is password protected. Yes, 100% is.
Like worse than the browser history, huh?
Right.
Everybody here can guess what my browser history looks based on the books that I read and the books that I pick for this book club. Kindle, no looky, no looky. Don't question it. Don't
I
look.
like that.
Yeah.
Unless you're on the Patreon, then you get to see my end of month wrap.
Yeah, I think we should all have a book club buddy, and your one job is to smash the Kindle.
Yeah.
And delete the account.
Drive over it.
Delete the account for sure.
Kindle is filthy.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, just
That's
bury
88 things now.
Yeah. It's interesting what Candace is saying too. She's a few Facebook friends of people who have died. So the interesting thing is, for work, I read a book, and if you're interested, I highly recommend it. It's called Virtual Afterlives. It's by Dr. Candy Fan.
It's on my list.
Fantastic. When Facebook was created, because it was created by a bunch of college students, they also didn't think of what happens when it becomes very widespread, and then also when people eventually die. So it took a lot of in the moment learning, but now you can memorialize a Facebook page. If you have the password to log in, you can click a button that lets you know that person has died and that you are allowed to assume responsibility of this page, and it automatically transforms it into a memorial page. So the wall is still active. You can still write on it and share photos and that kind of stuff, but you can't tag that person anymore without it like being permission checked first. And there's a bunch of, it just changes the permissions of the page.
Yeah.
So it's not like a full, it can't comment on anything anymore. You're not having like any traumatic online experiences or anything.
What did we, I can't remember the statistic or what it was, but when we read Over My Dead Body a year ago now, that was our August book last year, I think. We're talking about how Facebook is the biggest
cemetery
graveyard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Death makes you untaggable. Well,
and I think even Instagram too. It doesn't function the same, but I I know there are a few people that still have active pages that I follow that are no longer here, and I know that their family members can't take the page down, like don't feel like taking the page down.
Yeah.
And I also feel weird unfollowing them.
Yeah.
And so it is just something that I think just kind of sits. Yeah, I think that's an unintended consequence of social media, but I think it is also kind of nice because I have friends that, you know, I miss, and on their birthdays or whatever, it is nice sometimes to just be like, I'm thinking of you. You know, even though you know they're not reading it or anything like that, it's just something for you. But
It's cathartic.
It is cathartic. I think things like that are very helpful for people.
Yeah. So after reading this book, did anybody feel like this urge to live life either differently, less regrets? Like, was there any push to, like, you know, with the title and everything being Briefly Perfectly Human, was there anything that you took away from this where you're like, I need to spend more time doing this, or I need to spend more time with this? I need to, you know, was there anything that you took away from this as not so much as what we need to do to prepare for death, but what we're doing between now and then, the living part? Kelsey, you want to go first?
I can go first. Oddly enough, immediately, just this last week of my job has been a hot, flaming dumpster fire for a myriad of reasons, but it's kind of in those realms where it's like, am I always happy with what I'm doing? Like, how much am I just on like the capitalist grind? So that was on my mind a lot during this last week in reading it. And also now there's a note in my notes app on my phone that's like, you've got 6 months, and if you feel this miserable at this job, like you're fucking quitting. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, this is my promise to myself that I will bail out. I think it'll get better. We're like in an audit season, and my boss built a new building, and like we're down a therapist, and I think there's just a conglomerate of things that are making it a nightmare. But thinking about things like that, where it's like, do I want to just like sit around where I'm not happy? Which sucks because I enjoy like the functional parts of my job. It's the admin bureaucracy of my job that's usually draining the life from me. So
that's typically how it goes. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Well, we'll see what happens.
I'll let you all know in 6 months if I'm finding a new job or not.
Check back in.
Cam, anything?
For me, I think it affirmed a lot of things. I've been in therapy for a while now with the same therapist, which I'm very lucky to have. And living authentically and in alignment with my values is something that I am constantly working on. I think it's really easy to, like Tam said, let a lot of anxiety and pressure and just kinds of expectations that you might have or others might have to really kind of push you in a direction that you might not always feel like is the best for you. And something that living authentically is something that I've worked really hard on and I'm still working really hard on. But this definitely kind of affirmed that I'm on the right path. I'm doing a lot of the things that if the question is like, does this align with my values? And the answer is yes, then I'm getting a lot better at kind of saying like, fuck it to the rest. I don't, you know, like someone said, I think it's more just saying like, this is my life. And at the end of the day, like, I want to be able to know that I lived the life that I was proud of. When I go, I don't really care how it, to anybody else in the room, what it looked like, what it felt like. If I'm happy with it, then that's all that matters. And that's a good life and a good death to me. And so I think that was what I took away from it. I think it was something I definitely ran back and told my therapist, like, okay, we're doing good work. We're on the right path. Like, even when it's a little sticky and it's a little tough, like, we should keep going with this. So that was nice.
Good. Yeah. Kim?
That was a really awesome takeaway, Cam, by the way. That's really cool. And I think for mine, I've spent for me, I'm just going to do the thing. Whatever that thing is, I'm going to do it because I've let social anxiety and other things like prevent me from doing things. So I'm going to take that solo hike. I don't want to wait for people anymore to book the trip. I don't want to do those things because it's not going to serve me. I'm going to have that regret that, oh, I should have just done that thing. Even if I do it by myself, I'm going to have to just do it because otherwise I won't. If I wait for people, it's never going to happen sometimes. So I'm doing the thing. Exactly. Thank you. But yeah,
Tam's going to hold you to it.
Yes, she is. But yeah, I just, yeah, I'm excited. So that's kind of where my takeaway was. It's just, I'm going to do the thing. I'm not going to wait for anyone else. I'm just going to do it.
This was such an interesting pairing to the Severance book too. Thinking about like, I get up, I go to work, it is an interesting, I don't do that on purpose. I try and read very different books for the fiction book club, but coming out of that meeting and coming into this, it's like, it's an interesting pair.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I don't know, girl, the solo hike, get that GPS, tell us where you're at. Make sure you're safe.
Yeah, share your in reach with the rest of us, please.
Right, exactly.
Seriously, yeah, that'll be, a good death, I guess. I was doing what I loved at the time, I guess.
Hey, I get it.
We will come get you if we need to.
Okay. I'll share my location in the group before I go.
Find a yellow deli and we'll all meet up there.
Yeah.
No, if I find one of those, I'm never coming back. Isn't that the
Isn't that the thing? But
grab my green bars and I'm out.
You know what you have? Good Reubens. So
that's gonna lure me right away. I'm not gonna lie. I'm out.
It's a fair trade-off. I can't.
Yeah, it is.
I'm not jealous.
The green bars got her.
I just got to do the thing and order the case of them. I'm sorry, got to do it.
Yeah, we'll be your Kathy. That's
We'll be your Kathy.
100%.
Normal Kathy.
Normal Kathy. For those of you who don't know, we're referencing our June book, which was Trail of the Lost by Andrea Langford. If you guys didn't get to join that discussion, it was a fun one. And definitely go check out that book. It was a good time. But no, I love that. Doing stuff solo has never really been a problem for me, but the social anxiety that, some people are talking about, or just general anxiety in general, like, I think it still is the root of just, I don't want to die. So I don't do a lot of stuff because I don't like, this could kill me. So I'm good. Like traveling. I would love to go to Greece. I would love to go to Scotland. I would love to go to wherever. Love to go all these places. I have like a bucket list, but getting on a plane, I don't mind planes, but not when they're over the ocean that long. No, thank you. Leave your fingernails with patches. Yes, that way I could find you.
Yes.
Doctor, whatever his name was, Dr. V something. So
We can
I
use the drones.
Clippings in the mail.
Yeah, we can use
I'd
the
love
drones.
to go to Greece. Oh, I'd love to go to Greece. There's so many places I'd love to go. I want to be a travel, I want to be a travel girly, but I just can't because I don't want to die. Crazy concept. Steph.
What a concept.
What a concept.
Mine is very similar to Kim's, is just do the thing. I, just like you, I don't have a lot of issues doing things alone. Like I've been doing that kind of, I stopped waiting for people like years ago. I was like, listen, if I want to go to the thing, I'm going to the thing.
Yeah.
I have this thing where I just, when I go to something alone, especially like something that is normally considered like a social event, like a concert, I make what I call ephemeral friends, where I just like connect with people for that one thing only, and I will never talk to them again. And that's fine with me. That's totally fine. The last concert I went to at the end of July by myself, I met a group of people and I was like, clearly I was meant to round out this 4 group, because it was their names were Brittany, and Stephanie. And so I was like, clearly I was meant to be your ephemeral friend to round out the name twinning. That's it.
Yes. It's like everybody calls each other Bunny.
Exactly. But my whole thing is because I already do this work and I've been doing this work for a long time, like I have kind of stopped waiting for people. And so I do just do the things a lot alone, and that's fine. And I make friends. But my thing is like I chase anything that makes me feel alive. which a lot of the time does turn into chasing adrenaline for me, because I just feel like so like anything could happen to me in this moment. It is hard when like the things you want to do are like traveling and that kind of stuff is expensive. And so then you're like, ugh, but then I have to like grind and I have to do all these things to make this thing happen.
Right.
One of my things is I try to be somewhat spontaneous and just like go for stuff.
Yeah. I'm bad at that. I love Depeche Mode. Also, it sounds like, according to Charla's little meet cute here, you could go alone and wind up meeting a significant other.
Yeah, who knows?
I like doing stuff. I like going alone because I've found that I feel super claustrophobic when if I am meeting people, I'm anywhere, I'm driving separately. If I am caught on somebody else's schedule, I feel claustrophobic and I panic. Like anytime there's a bookish event, I'll get a general idea. Like the one I went to yesterday, I get a general idea of who's there, so I know to look out for them. I went and had lunch by myself. I went to the event by myself. I saw who I needed to see. I went home. I wasn't like waiting on the person I was with. I wasn't like worried about other people's lunch schedules. It's like, no, I'm hungry now. I'm gonna go eat. I'll see y'all in a second. That's a big thing for me. Food, don't get in the way of that. Don't get in the way of my food. So the alone part is not a problem. It's the, because I wish I had a little bit more of an adrenaline kick, but alas, I do not.
I'm pretty risk averse. I'm like, is that raise my heart rate? No thanks. I'm okay. All right.
Meanwhile, a few years ago, I was like, I convinced my mom to let me bungee jump for the first time. I say convinced my mom because she was paying. So I told her that my doctor cleared me to do this while recovering from a concussion. And the bungee jump I chose was the tallest one available because I was like, well, go big or go home.
You should probably take care of yourself and not do that right when you have a concussion.
It wasn't right away. It was several months later. It was fine.
I had a lot of concussions, though, right?
Yeah. Oh, I don't count anymore. It's fine.
I think you should, because after a certain number, it becomes a problem.
That is true. However, I don't play contact sports anymore.
Just tennis now. Just
tennis.
I so wish we lived near each other because I need somebody to play tennis with that's not Christopher, because Christopher keeps threatening to whoop my ass in tennis, and I'm scared that he would actually do it, even though I'm very good at tennis. I need somebody who's a little bit nicer about it.
That's valid.
I need somebody who's not. Because he's very competitive and I'm not. I know he would take it way too seriously. You probably can't get him over. You done. That's why.
Cannot confirm or deny.
I love that. Well, that's pretty much all that I had.
Candace is my people. I just find people. This is what it is. I find my people.
We are your people. That's pretty much all I had discussion-wise. Was there anything else that we wanted to add before I showed you guys something fun that I've got to that I got to show y'all? Anything?
No.
Wait, say it again. Did somebody say something?
I'm thinking out loud.
Oh, so I did want to thank you guys. First of all, I wanted to say thank you guys for giving this book a chance. I understand that maybe you were going to go into this thinking that it was probably more morbid. I didn't mean to give you a thumbs up. More morbid than some of our other books, even though it wasn't. We all know morbidity is a spectrum, but whatever. And I'm just very grateful that people still wanted to give this book a shot. With that being said, next month, tomorrow, I'll be posting all about this. Next month, we are reading In the Mouth of the Wolf by Catherine Corcoran. I have read this already. I've spoken to her on the podcast. This is a phenomenal book. It's one of my favorites that we've read for the book club. I'm very excited for it. But as a little sneak peek, this is going to go up on the Instagram in a couple of days, probably later this week. But I wanted to show you something super fun.
Hello, members of the Morbidly Curious Book Club. I'm Catherine Corcoran, author of In the Mouth of the Wolf, and I am honored that you chose my book for your book club. I hope you find the suspense that you're looking for And I hope at the end you find yourselves thinking about freedom of expression and personal liberties, things that are coming under attack right now by governments all over the world, how important they are and how important it is to fight to maintain them. I love hearing from my readers, so please send me your feedback. Thank you again, and happy reading.
Thanks, Catherine.
She's so precious.
She's so precious. I had a wonderful conversation with her, so I'm super excited to hear what you guys have to say about that. Again, if you need anything, the morbidlycuriousbookclub.com is where you will find it. We are working on revamping the website. I'm doing that slowly but surely. I do not know the first thing about building a website, so I'm trying my best, but that will be upgraded soon. But everything is over there. You can find all of our merch, all of our t-shirts, all the collaborations that we've done, all of the links for the Patreon to join the book club.
Box.
Yes, the book. Thank you. What? There's a book box? Wow.
There's a book box.
Didn't even mention that at all. We do have a book box subscription service. If you guys would like the book club picks sent right to your doorstep, it is super exciting because we get some goodies from the authors. We get sometimes, but I think it's been pretty successful the whole year, signed book plates from the authors. They've all been they've been super great about that, which I was not expecting. When I was first selling people in the book box, I'm like, we might get some book plates. It's been like 8 for 8. So
I want to say pretty much all of them have gotten ones. And then we've gotten some for like the bonus books too.
Yes, so the book box comes with a hardcover copy of the book, but if it's a paperback only month, which is coming up, our October book is for sure a paperback, and it was released originally on paperback. There's no hardcover of it. You get a bonus book, and sometimes those bonus books are backlog picks. Sometimes they're just nonfiction, morbidly curious adjacent books from the publisher, and sometimes even those get a signed book plate, which is super exciting. So please sign up for that. That is at the top of the website. And if you are a Patreon member, I'll see you in about 40 minutes or so to discuss some spicy after dark books. So thank you guys so much for, of course, hosting with me. I appreciate you always. And you will see some of these faces again next month. Thank you guys so much for being here. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you September 28th. That's when we're discussing In the Mouth of the Wolf. All right, friends. Bye.
Bye.